So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV. And if you'd like to find out about the broadcast schedule we have for the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net, and for the X Zone TV channel that is exclusive to SimulTV, www.simultv.com, and the X Zone TV channel is channel number 21. X Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Bill Sheehan, and Bill is a writer, therapist, and Christian blogger. He is also an avid archer, marksman, and fisherman. He has compiled numerous accounts and testimonies of witnesses to Bigfoot in North America. His website is buybigfootbooks.com. And Bill, welcome to the X Zone.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited.
Bill, where did your interest in Bigfoot come from?
Well, I suppose I just turned 60 in September, so...
belated happy birthday.
Thank you, Rob. My father was a pilot, weather observer for the FAA.
Mm-hmm.
We moved out onto eastern Long Island in the early 60s, and from a youth... I had a lot of training and experience hanging around with my dad in identifying things, be they in the sky, birds, planes, cloud formations. And sometime, I guess in the late 60s, I must have saw the clip of the famous or infamous Patterson-Gimlin film, and I was sold from that moment on that this creature was alive and well and wandering around in what I believed then to be the Pacific Northwest. But now my understanding is these creatures are all over North America and Canada.
Well, let me ask you, Bill, have you ever seen a Bigfoot?
Never.
So what makes you believe that they exist? And more to the point, why do you believe the Patterson-Gimlin film when there's still so much controversy over it?
Yeah, my opinion on the whole Bigfoot situation is this.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the evidence that has been brought forth to date, if it was brought against you or I in a court of law for committing a crime, we would have been sent away a long time ago.
But what evidence is there?
Well, the footprints, the testimonies of so many witnesses, people. Now, look, you could take this one of two stands on this, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
You could think that everybody is full of baloney, and if you think that, well, I mean, you're entitled to that opinion. But then you could take another stand. What if a small percentage of what's being told and stated by individuals is true? So if 1% was true, then that would make it a living, breathing creature. And then if you're like me, I've spoken to so many people, and I have so many testimonials in the books that I've written. If you think, what brings somebody to tears when they're recounting something to you? I mean, I've cried at funerals. It would really take a lot to move me to tears. But when somebody's recounting something that scared them or frightened them in such a way that just rehashing it in their memory is making them weep and apologize for crying in front of you, what exactly is capable of doing that to a human being? Well, I mean, I believe these people are telling the truth. I don't think you sell the house that you love living in, having encountered one of these beasts in your backyard, frightening you half to death. I don't think you sell the home that you love and move somewhere else because you don't think what you saw was real.
All right. In theory, that's great, but let's get to the facts. Let's get to the evidence. A footprint, okay, maybe. But let's, in a world of high tech that we're in today, how come there hasn't been that all-conclusive photo that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Bigfoot does exist?
Well, do you believe, what is your opinion of the Patterson-Gimlin film?
Well, my opinion is that there is no proof. Patterson had a rather seedy reputation. He was known as a yarner of good tales. The fact that they just happened to chance with a 16-millimeter camera onto the area that since then has presented no proof of Bigfoot. I'm an ex-police criminal investigator. I go by fact. I go by evidence. Whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's UFOs, whether it's extraterrestrial, any of these claims, facts matter. And I've been doing this show for 20-some-odd years, 29 years this year. And to this day, I have seen no evidence to support, I mean physical evidence, to support any claims of the existence of Bigfoot.
Yeah, and, I can't argue with your point other than that I personally believe what people are telling me. For instance, I'm going to give you another example in my own personal life. You asked me if I've ever seen a Bigfoot, and I said no.
Right.
But I have had angelic and UFO sightings and encounters. Now, when I speak to people of those things, I get the typical wink and a nod, the rolling of the eyes. I can only imagine what people say when I leave the room. But nevertheless, I engage them because I know what happened to me.
Right.
Now, if you were to say to me, Bill, give me some evidence of your angelic encounter, I can't produce that for you, Rob. But I know what happened to me.
I'll be honest with you, Bill. It's a lot easier for me to believe in angels than it is in Bigfoot.
And again, though, but that's a personal thing, no?
Well,
I mean, in one you decide because maybe you're a God-fearing man that, yes, I believe in angels. I believe in divine intervention. But yet to me, I'll give you another example because, I just got done telling you that I pretty much grew up as what I would call being an observer. I'm a big birder. And having just turned 60, last spring, I was going over the Ponquag Bridge in Hampton Bays on Long Island here, which connects the island to Fire Island. And in about 10 seconds, I saw my first snowy owl sitting on a street sign next to the bridge at night.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it. At first I thought it was a night heron, and then my eyes focused. This is all while I'm rolling in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said to myself, it's a snowy owl. And the thing launched off the sign and flew down into the darkness over the marshland. So here I am, 10 seconds of my life, virtually 60 years into it,
mm-hmm.
and I'm seeing this bird for the first time.
Right.
So I think that these encounters, now, if you said to me, and I get it, I mean, there are stuffed snowy owls around, dead birds have been found,
mm-hmm.
but what is the population of Bigfoot? We have no idea how many of these things are.
Well, let's look at it another way. The snowy owl has been documented, and
certainly,
prior to your sighting, so we know that they really do exist.
Yes.
It's not as if no one has ever seen one, or that they've just been the subject of urban legends, but they're real.
Mm-hmm.
We know this. They've been scientifically cataloged.
Mm-hmm.
With all the people that are going into the woods looking for Bigfoot, for it not to be found and documented, I find that rather astonishing.
Well, I do find it astonishing. But what if
mm-hmm.
what if the creatures simply bury their dead? And I want to give you a scenario relative to the dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't all that long ago that a fellow who once again was out there looking, somebody who was putting themselves in a position other than sitting in front of their TV set in Long Island, was out there and noticed a bone coming out of an eroded hillside. And we all know what has transpired after that initial discovery. But if you think about these creatures just burying their dead where they live, predominantly in wilderness areas, the only way one of them is ever going to be found, if you're looking for physical remains...
All right, Bill, we've got to take our break. Please stand by. Exonation. Our guest this hour is Bill Sheehan. And if you'd like to find out more about Bill or buy any of his books, his website is buybigfootbooks.com. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light. Exonation, Bill Sheehan is our guest this hour, www.buybigfootbooks.com. Bill, I understand where you're going with this, so that, the lack of cadaver evidence or physical evidence when it comes to the evidence that Bigfoot does exist. But once again, we're in the year 2018, everybody has a cell phone. Satellite technology can tell the time off of a person's watch at a stationary altitude of 20,000 miles in space. And yet we can't find a Bigfoot.
Well, I'm not saying we can't, and I believe they have been found and have been kept from the public.
Why?
Well, why not tell somebody there are UFOs flying around the planet?
I'm not talking about UFOs. I'm talking about Bigfoot.
I get it. No, I get it. I understand that. But I think there are powers that be out there that just don't feel people are ready for or want them to know about it. Call it fear, ignorance, whatever you want to call it. I think there are people out there that feel that they need to shield us and them from things that are may be going on now or may have gone on in the past. And I don't have the answer to that question as to why that would be, or why people would feel, that we can't handle truth, whatever that truth may be. But
have you seen any evidence of this?
Of what?
Of the suppression of information by the powers to be to hide the fact that Bigfoot does exist.
No, not relative to the Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. I can't say other than what I've heard interviewed. For instance, take Dr. Meldrum. Dr. Meldrum has no particular axe to grind. He's a college professor. Mm-hmm. He's got quite a collection of feet out there, footprints. He's identified what he believes to be legitimate dermal ridges on these hand and footprints that he's acquired. Mm-hmm. He seems to be fairly adept at discerning between fraud and real. Mm-hmm. I mean, what do we say about a guy like Dr. Meldrum? Is he full of beans?
How come he's the only doctor that says this?
Well, once again, we get to the situation where it seems like there is a fear of people not wanting to undergo ridicule, potentially lose their jobs. I mean, I cannot answer for them. Everybody works in different circumstances. I know myself working in the hospital. There are definitely distinctive do's and don'ts around a liberal-based institution like that, and you're not going to know that until you work there, but I can tell you it's real having worked there. Let me
ask you this. You're a Christian blogger.
Yes.
Would it not be proof if the powers to be were to say or dispel or suppress religion, and if we could use that as a benchmark to use logic into the possibility of any government conspiracy when it comes to the paranormal, whether it be alleged UFO crashes or extraterrestrial existence or even Bigfoot. The government doesn't say, well, you can't believe in God even though you can't see God. You can't communicate with him. There's no physical proof that he's really there. And yet, using the same logic, why would they suppress the information out about Bigfoot? That would certainly have no implication to the scale that, suppressing the information about God would have.
Well, first of all, in reference to that, there are individuals who can't stand what I do as a blogger. There are people out there that wish somebody like me would just go away. And in reference to religion has been around for so long that even though people may not believe in it or don't want to believe in it, they're certainly not going to be able to suppress it.
Okay, I agree with you 100%. Now let's take it one step further. The Bible is the number one best-sold book around the world.
Forever.
Okay? And yet, with the hundreds or even thousands of Bigfoot researchers or hunters, reality TV weirdos that are out there.
Yeah.
No pictures, no evidence, no nothing. How could something this big, with such a magnitude, ever be suppressed if, in fact, it was legitimate?
Yeah, I believe that there aren't that many of them, and we certainly do have some pictures. Of course, now with the CG and everything going on, everything that is brought forth is either proven to be or deemed to be faked.
Yeah.
So for me, that game is long since over. I mean, I don't believe anything that's brought forth from this point forward will be taken seriously by anybody. So, excuse me. So as far as pictures go, photographic evidence, I don't know. I think you may agree with me that that's not going to occur anytime going into the future.
But if we can't rely on if we can't rely on the photographic evidence that people are bringing forward, how can we go along with anything they say? How can we discern the credibility from the bull?
No, I believe that you almost can't, and I believe that it's a matter of personal preference or trust. Based on the people you know, based on the people you talk to, and whether or not you believe them. This type of situation here, where does it end? I mean, I say black, you say blue. I say blue, you say white. You could argue endlessly that basically everything and everything said by everyone is pure nonsense. And frankly, just as a human being, I don't believe that. I have a greater faith in my fellow man. For instance, as a fisherman, we've all heard fish stories.
Yep.
I've had some really strange things happen to me when I was fishing. Now, if I shared them with one of my good fishing buddies, they would know from knowing me that what I'm telling them is not a lot of malarkey, and I them. But if we were to tell the same story to somebody else at work or at the gym or wherever you may be, they may immediately discount it as being a lot of baloney. So I really think it amounts to a matter of trust and belief in the individuals that you're dealing with. So, for instance, what if you go to court and a witness is brought forth? Well, I mean, the individual is sworn in. Do people lie under oath?
You better believe it.
I'm sure they do.
You better believe it.
Yeah. So, but the court nevertheless continues in the same process, bringing in witnesses, swearing them under oath, allowing the jurors to hear the testimony, and then a decision will be made at some point in time.
But once again, when it comes to the credibility of the witness, it's up to the prosecutor to do his best to discredit the witness if there is any doubt that the witness is not telling the truth.
Right. Now, if we talk about that, what happens when Bill Sheehan is hunting for grizzly in British Columbia, and he comes across a second set of tracks while going through the moss, and he realizes these are not grizzly bear tracks, and I know what grizzly bear tracks are. And then he says, these are giant human-like footprints in an area where no man has been except for me right now. What are we to say to that individual who now comes across this second set of prints in the woods? You're not there. I'm not there. He says he saw them. What do we say to that guy? What can we say? Either you think he's who he says he is. He was out hunting grizzly with a guide. They come across a set of tracks. They go further. They find a tree torn apart that looks like somebody was ripping into it, eating grubs or worms or whatever they were looking for. They find prints all around that, and then a single file of prints leading out into the woods ahead of that.
Are we talking about a real case or a hypothetical case here?
No, we're talking about these things have happened to some of my witnesses. This is actually a hunting case from up in British Columbia.
Did he take any pictures?
No.
Why not?
Well, when you're a hunter, I don't carry a camera around with me.
Do you carry your cell phone?
Not at that point in time, but to be honest with you, I have a flip phone. I don't. I'm not big on photographs and things that are like. In fact, I have very few family photographs around my house. So it's an individual thing. You could say, why not? And then even if he took the pictures, what happens with the pictures? They're fake.
It depends on the credibility. Credibility is everything these days, Bill.
Well, no, I get you, and you can go round and round on it. But somebody takes a picture of a footprint, then somebody says, "Well, that's somebody just struck the board to their foot."
You just stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Bill Sheehan is our guest, XO Nation, and Bill and I will be back on the other side of this break here in the XO from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Welcome back, everyone. Bill Sheehan is our special guest this hour, www.buybigfootbooks.com. The fact that this scenario, when it comes to Bigfoot and a lot of other matters and subjects within the paranormal, is basically a belief structure because of the lack of physical evidence. And I guess in today's society, with all the fake news as well as all the fake internet stories that you can read, and the credibility in the world has gone out the window. How do we substantiate any claim of anything? And we're talking about Bigfoot this hour. You know, people go out into the bush. They take trap cameras. They take their own cell phones. They take night vision. They take this. They take that. And they all come back with nothing. I find this very hard to believe, if in fact something is there.
Yeah, well, I'm on board with you. Mm-hmm. I believe what you're saying is true. And when you look at a channel like, let's just say we look at YouTube.
Yeah.
And you type in Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Mm-hmm. There's some interesting things on there, you know. But even me as a believer in Bigfoot, I'm skeptical of some of the things we see. And that is evidence, really, of the society in which we live, is it not? We look at things, you know, and say, well, I don't know. But, for instance, I have... Well, first of all, let me pose something else to you before I tell you what I have.
Sure.
Well, no, I will tell you what I have. I have two accounts here. One I named the Prospector's Letter, which was a diary account from an old man prospector from the Sacramento area way back when. And then I have another diary account that was given to me, in which you could tell just from reading it, they're brief. It's almost like a love letter, but it's like a confession of a man feeling guilty having shot one of these creatures and buried it. Now, I don't know if you've ever looked at Teddy Roosevelt's book, The Wilderness Hunter.
No, I haven't.
Very interesting. He had an acquaintance. Now, of course, we're talking about a guy who was going to become the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. And he was intricately involved in the formation of the national parks, as we know them, John Mather and Pinchot and all of these guys. Roosevelt included in The Wilderness Hunter an account that was given to him by a fellow named Bauman. Now, I you know, for the life of me, as skeptical as anyone may want to be, first of all, Roosevelt had to have a tremendous amount of trust in this guy Bauman and his word and his credibility as a human being to include him in the volume of his book, in which Bauman describes his partner being killed by something. If it was a bear, I'm sure Roosevelt or Bauman would have said he got mauled by a grizzly. But the description in the book kind of leaves you saying to yourself, this guy got attacked by a Bigfoot. That someday maybe go through that when you have time and read through the book. The book, if nothing else, is extremely interesting to read if you like hunting in nature and the early days of exploration and whatnot. It's well worth it, but this book was not a book of fiction. So one might say, you know, I had an account given to me by a husband and wife who ran into a guy in the park while they were picnicking. And I won't give you the whole account because it would take too long, but one thing led to another, and they got to talking, and the guy was actually drawn to their campsite because they were playing a David Bowie album, and they were both fans. So the conversation started about that and then led into this guy saying that he hunts or looks for Bigfoot in the northern areas. So one thing led to another, and they got invited to his house. And in his house, he had all kinds of natural-related things. You know, he had lamps made out of antlers and chairs made out of tree limbs and all kinds of stuffed artifacts around the house and whatnot. And then on one wall, he had some photographs of what he said were pictures of Bigfoot. They saw them. He claimed to have close encounters with them. And then he went and pulled out a milk crate and brought out some castings of footprints that he had of them. And the wife, after the fact, made a good point. She said, why would a guy who surrounds himself in his home with everything relative to fishing and wildlife being legitimate have a section in the same house filled with a lot of baloney about a creature who's fictitious and didn't exist? Now, you know, you could say whatever you want about that, but I'm in agreement with the wife. You know, why would you do something like that?
Well, why do we celebrate the birth of Christ on December the 25th when we know for a fact he wasn't born on December the 25th?
You know, to me, it doesn't matter to me if you said it was September 1st or June 30th. It's a celebration, period.
But isn't that...
I'm so glad that happened.
But
I don't particularly care what day it happened.
You see, but what I'm saying is, you know, you're giving this guy credibility, or the person that gave you the information is saying, you know, this has got to be legitimate because why the guy's got so much real stuff, why would he have fake stuff? Well, fake stuff sometimes gets misunderstood as real stuff. It's a matter of perception. It's a matter of belief, just like Christians want to believe, or most Christians believe that Christ was born on the 25th of December, even though it was a pagan holiday and it was a whole bunch of schmozzle between the Christianity and the pagans to see who was going to have the better religion. But it's the same thing, isn't it?
Not to me.
But that's to you.
Because, and I'll tell you why, when we speak of things related to holidays and the celebration. I have always had a personal opinion where it doesn't matter to me what day I celebrate Easter on or Christmas or Thanksgiving. I'm happy to get together. I'm happy to get together in remembrance of an event or a time, a family gathering. I don't personally get caught up in days and times and years.
All right, but I understand that, and I appreciate that, and I agree with you in this case, that it's about the event, not the date. But
Correct.
If we're looking at a historical basis, and if we're looking at this possibility that this guy had Bigfoot paraphernalia in a house that was all natural with, antler, whatever they were, and wood chairs. I'm saying, how can we validate validity? How can we say that this was Bigfoot stuff, or that if he was so inclined to have everything that is natural, why would he have something fake in his home? That's a poor argument in my books.
It's a what?
It's a poor argument.
Well, I mean, and to me, you see, it's a matter of semantics, though, isn't it? Because you can go back and forth. To me, I'm more acceptable with this type of thing than per se yourself.
Why are you?
As I said earlier, I am more inclined to trust my fellow human being than to distrust them until I'm given a reason to do so.
Would the fact that you write books about it be part of the reason why you feel this way?
No. I had no particular axe to grind when I started writing these books. I felt that there wasn't a lot of good information out there, interesting information being put forth. And I started my quest. For instance, let me give you a for instance relative to, and I'm in agreement with you, something you said earlier. Some of these TV shows, and I don't have to name names, we know what they are. People walking around pounding logs on trees, waiting for answers in the distance. I have a testimony, if you believe it's a testimony, and again, you could say, no, it's a lot of baloney. I named this story, It's Not Wood. And it's relative to these tree knockings and whatnot that we keep seeing and hearing about on the various TV shows. This couple was taking photographs. The husband considered himself an amateur photographer, but kind of tongue-in-cheek. He'd been doing it for 25 years, and he said, I don't know at what point you're considered professional.
Hurry, we're going to hold it here because I do have to take my final break. Please stand by, Bill. Exonation, Bill Sheehan is our special guest this hour, www.buybigfootbooks.com. And Bill and I will be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And we're coming to you around the world tonight on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, iHeartRadio, Simul Radio, and Simul TV. Don't go away. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Bill Sheehan is our guest this hour, Exonation, and we're talking about Bigfoot this hour. And Bill, before we went to the commercial break, you were just starting to tell us a story about that you received, and it was pertaining to wood knocking.
Yeah, this is really interesting, and here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's a professional photographer, and he's got a dynamic camera in his possession when this happens. But the distance was so great. Let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
So they were in this canyon area doing some panoramic landscape shots, and they heard what sounded like a reverberating knock.
Mm-hmm.
And they had seen no animals whatsoever in this area as they were hiking in, and they had been in this place before. So he's got his camera, the wife has a pair of binoculars, and she picks up on something in the distance moving around. He moves over with his camera on zoom and tries to pull it in, but at the distance it was so small, all they could make out was something that he described as a nervous man waiting for a bus. Those were his words. This thing was pacing around. So now they're both looking at it as best as they can at the distance, and they believe what they're looking at is a Bigfoot. They see it raise its arms up somewhere around the head, and moments later they hear again this, like a cluck, like you'd make with your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Then the arms went down, and the thing walked away into the distance. Now, it was so small, but they said that there was nothing else around in the area, and they were convinced that what they had seen was a Bigfoot. So, number one, they said it sounded like wood on wood,
Mm-hmm.
which to me is why I named this particular account, It's Not Wood, because these guys are walking around with baseball bats and sticks, whacking trees. What if they were correct and truthful in what they said, and that this noise was emanating from the inside of an animal, making some type of noise very loudly that we're incapable of doing? And number two, they said nothing else was around out there. There were no animals. They saw this thing walking on two legs, darkly colored, and after it raised its arms up to the head and they heard this knocking sound the second time, it walked away totally out of their view, and their view was minuscule to begin with.
All right. If the view was minuscule to begin with, how could they say it was a Bigfoot?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you.
So?
But I'm only passing on what was said. Here you have a husband and wife, two individuals, a guy who spent a fair amount of his time out there shooting landscapes, panoramic views, and whatnot. And they run across this noise, and then they see this thing moving around. It appears to be on two legs. It appears to have arms being raised up, albeit small in the lens.
Mm-hmm.
They were convinced what they had seen was what they said it was, which was a Bigfoot. Now, I guess we can either accept that or reject it. But again, what do you just keep going down the list? Everybody that says something is just, well, I don't believe you. Show me the picture. Why didn't you take a picture of it at 1,200 yards? You just can't do it.
Why think it's a Bigfoot? Why not a bear?
Yeah, well, unless you think bears walk on two legs and quickly.
It's happened. They stand up. They stand up on two legs.
Yeah, no, that's true. But they don't walk quickly in any distance on two legs.
But once again,
not out in nature.
But once again, based on the statements of these two people, it was very small to see what it was. So how do they know, in fact, that they actually saw it walk away? That makes no sense.
It does to me. I mean, I can tell if something walks away, can't you?
I can, depending how close it is to me. I'm not going to say that I can see something that's 600, 700 feet away or 700 yards away or even a mile away. Now, come on, we got to be realistic here. You know, people seem to want to add 1 and 1 and get 3 sometimes. They're out in the middle of the bush. They see something they can't explain. They hear a noise. Bang, it's a Bigfoot.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. And I don't buy into that at all.
So tell me, why do you write your books when it comes to Bigfoot? What message are you trying to get across to people, or what's the, authors usually have a goal in mind when they write a book. So what is your goal?
Just getting information out there, the sharing of information, putting it before people's eyes. Make of it what you will, think of it what you will. Frankly, I'm just a little tired of watching people walking around on TV in the dark. First of all, if I was out looking for a Bigfoot in those areas, I would be armed to the teeth.
Why?
Because I think this thing could take you apart and quite nicely.
There's no recorded case of that in history where, that once again that can be talked about, but there is no case where anyone has been harmed or injured or definitely killed by a Bigfoot. Hello? Oh. Look at that, X Zone Nation. Another wannabe hung up. I love it when they do that. Because what this does is it proves that, oh my gosh, this guy's not buying all the crap I'm spewing. This guy really isn't going to give me a pat on the back, give me a hug, and we're not going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya as he sings my praises. Because I'm writing a book, or I'm taking stories from people that, they'll fill pages and I'll be able to make some money selling a book. The guy has never gone out and done a Bigfoot investigation. The guy has never done a proper investigation into these stories that are being reported to him. Not one. He is an armchair quarterback. Yeah, I'll take all these stories I can get, and you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a book. And in the pages of this book, I'm just going to make as much noise as I can and come across as if I know what the hell I'm talking about. Because people are stupid out there. Nobody's going to really challenge me. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I got on that other coast-to-coast show that oh, wow. Well, we all know what that's about. And I'm going to get on the X Zone because, they've got a worldwide audience and they're on Simul TV and Simul Radio and these networks. And wow, they're going to give me all this free publicity, and you know what? They're going to believe me. Wrong. I'll believe you if you give me something to believe. But when somebody tells me that they see the Patterson-Gimlin film, and it's because of this, they believe in Bigfoot, I'll guarantee you something, X Zone Nation. He believes in Santa Claus. He believes in the Tooth Fairy. He believes in, the Sandman, the Easter Bunny, leprechauns, and everything else that doesn't really exist. Now, I didn't want to go down the UFO path with him because, once again, it would just be ridiculous because he probably has no proof. And I say probably because I really didn't give him the opportunity of sharing that with us, thank God. And people don't like skepticism. And this isn't skepticism, this is journalism. You make a statement, prove it. Hey, if you say somebody is telling the truth and you don't challenge them, you just take their word that they saw something in a distance, blah, 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 and you put it in a book, and if nobody challenges you, No, you're damn lucky. But it's our responsibility to challenge, to ask questions. This is not a fairy tale radio show. If you want that, watch a cartoon channel or these so-called reality shows on television. You, the X-Zone Nation, deserve answers. I will ask questions. And when somebody hangs up, like this ignorant author did, whose name is Bill Sheehan, and when you've got a website that promotes buybigfootbooks.com, what does that tell you? Ego? Yeah. Wow. It's people like this Bigfoot Nation that do you no justice. Another Tom Biscardi. There are people out there who go out there who actually really try to find out if Bigfoot is real or not. I respect them. But if you're writing a book dispelling information that you don't verify, you're a part of the problem, the disinformation problem. Fake news, as the good president would say. Fake news. There's too much of that, and I'm sorry. I will not subscribe to it here, now, or ever. Bill Sheehan, you're a disgrace. You truly are. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Oh, Bigfoot, if you're out there, why don't you just show yourself to somebody? And why don't we just get the answer to this puzzle once and for all? I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. Don't go away. If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.